Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Awaken Happiness Now Global Series. Thank you so much for being here with us. I'm your host, shefaliburns. Thank you so much for being here. If you're new to me, new to my show, new to my channel on YouTube, please do subscribe so you can take advantage of all the current shows, all the previous shows, all the shows coming up. And so today, my dear friend Keren Brown is with us, and we're going to be talking about conscious embodiment as a powerful path to ascension. And so some of what we're going to talk about today is how the powerful astrology we're moving through right now supports us to embody more light, why moving your body consciously might be a key missing piece to accelerate your ascension journey. Oops. The remembrance of your sacred body temple at a deeper level. We're going to talk about the potential of conscious movement to heal dis-ease in the physical body, the many benefits of light movement to your soul mission as a light worker, the link between conscious movement, Christ consciousness, and the divine feminine. So we're also going to talk about an experience on the call today, simple ways to bring movement and dance into your spiritual practice to amplify healing and accelerate your ascension journey. Even if you don't believe you're a dancer or you have physical limitations. I already said this before we went live. I said, I cannot dance. I don't have any rhythm in my body at all. So we'll talk about that in just a few minutes. We're going to talk about how to use movement during different phases of the lunar cycle and at the dark moon for healing and transformation. And Keren's also going to offer a transmission and a gentle guided movement journey, modifiable for all abilities. So don't worry, to experience and activate the divine dancer within you so you can embody more light. Interesting. So I'm looking forward to that. Of course, Keren will take some live caller questions as well. And for those of you who may not know Keren, she is an intuitive guide, a professional coach, movement facilitator, and the founder of Wise Women Leading, supporting women through personal and career transitions, initiations, and other mysteries of the second half of life, the feminine wisdom way. Drawing on more than 25 years' experience working with clients as a communications consultant, she also loves to help women uncover their soul essence and how to express it through all aspects of their life and work. Before she began her spiritual journey, she was a professional ballroom and Latin dancer and now incorporates her passion for conscious movement into her personal spiritual practice as well as her professional offerings. So I'm excited about this conversation because, like I said, I'm not a dancer at all. I don't have any rhythm at all, but we'll talk about that. So everyone, please join me in welcoming Keren back to the show. Keren, welcome.
Thank you so much, Shefali. I'm really, really excited to be here. Hi, everyone.
And as you noticed, my voice is like going, almost gone. So I'm so glad I'm not the one who is speaking the most today. But we will still have fun, even though I can't speak. So I'm not going to say I was triggered by our topic of for today, but I was a little hesitant. It's like, especially when I saw that you were going to be leading us through, movement during the call, and before we went live, you were checking your camera and all that stuff too. And I'm like, oh God, I have to dance? Are you kidding me? I cannot dance. I probably could dance to save my life, but that's about it. It would not be pleasant. It would not be pleasant to watch. I'll say.
All right, well, I'm shaking my head because the point of view that I hold is that we're all dancers and we're all divine dancers. And so hopefully I'll get to prove that to you and show you some evidence through lived experience when we get up onto our feet. And I wouldn't think of it. Maybe it's a paradigm shift too, like just a different perspective. It's not
Mhm.
dancing, it's movement. And I said this before we started. If you can walk, you can dance. Yeah.
Okay, so I can definitely walk.
Yes,
So we will see
absolutely.
how that goes. So again, it's going to be an interesting show. Definitely not one that we've done before like this. That's for sure. I'll be honest. We've never done a show where we're talking about movement in this way at all. So it'll be interesting. So I'm excited. So let's talk a little bit about conscious embodiment as a powerful path to ascension. And of course, I mean, when I think about conscious embodiment, I'm talking about being fully embodied here and now. Um, we're constantly in our head. We're constantly, up in the higher realms, talking to angels, guides, etc. But but for that to really stick in our life, we have to embody that. We have to bring it into our body and into the physical planet. For me, that's what conscious embodiment means, right? Walking your talk, talking your walk, whatever that phrase is, but being here and now physically present in your body on the planet as a spiritual being, which is what we are, right? So we are all spiritual beings having this human experience, and we are all growing in consciousness, expanding in consciousness, etc. But we can only do that through this physical vehicle, right? So
Exactly. Yes.
that's my impression.
Yes. Yes. And I chose the wording carefully because I didn't want to frighten people off. Right in the dancing as a path to exit, right? I didn't want to do that. So,
Right.
uh, but for me, this is another expression and a very natural expression of conscious embodiment. So, I know I think of things like so I think of two like ways of being consciously embodied. That's kind of where I naturally go. So everything you said, 100%. And I think of things like breath, right? And we work with
Mhm.
breath and we talk about bringing light into the body or bringing light up from the body. But it struck me, and there's a story that maybe we'll get into naturally a little bit later about how this kind of occurred to me. And I've always been a quote unquote dancer in one way or another. So I've always had that orientation, but it occurred to me. So I'm doing all of this, light work stuff. I'm in many programs. I guide people and journeys, and we're always sitting down. So we're
Mm.
we're doing all of these things in the unseen realm to bring in light, but what about actually moving light through the body? And it just seems like kind of a basic idea, right? I mean, if I can sit here, close my eyes, and think about bringing light, I can see it, I can feel it, and that's all great. Like, so I'm not saying any of this is not good. I'm just saying, but how much more could we amplify it if we actually, when we see it coming in with our mind's eye, we actually move it in some way? We're inviting the energy to move into our cells, which is the goal, right? And it just
Mhm.
helps facilitate. We become our own um, doctors in a way, our own healers. Yeah, I like that.
Awesome.
Singh just said in the chat, weave the light. Yes, so we're
Yeah.
weaving it into our body, 100%.
Awesome. Yeah, absolutely. And I think you're right in that way as well, and that we can use bring in light through movement to better integrate into our physical body. Sometimes can be helpful instead of just sitting in one spot.
Yes.
Can be. I mean, I have two different trains of thought there, but it can for sure. Just
Yeah.
like meditation does not have to be done sitting down. You can have walking meditations, etc.
Exactly.
Right?
Yes. Yeah. I was just about to say walking meditation. And one of my first spiritual teachers said, we were at a retreat in Boston in this beautiful retreat wooded area. And she had us go on a walk. And she was making the point that when we walk on the land, um, it's lighting us up, but we are also lighting up the land. And that speaks to what I now understand as, working with ley lines and dragon lines and doing grid work and that kind of thing. So again, this is just another expression of that. And if you think about before we had verbal language, and okay, yes, we had telepathy as well at some point, but dance was one of the first languages, and it's a universal language like song, right? And it's the language of love, but it's also, I think it's a light language. If you think about that, you can think about it that way. And there's so many metaphors, the dance of life, right? We think about uh, everything is the dance of life. Jesus, Yeshua, he was the Lord of the dance. If anybody remembers that song, dance, dance, whoever you may be. I am the Lord of the dance, said he, and I'll lead you all wherever you may be. I will lead you all in the dance, said he. And go back to other traditions like the Sufis. They had the whirling dervishes spinning to bring, ecstasy. And you can go to ecstatic dance in different communities everywhere. I've done lots of that kind of stuff. But what I'm speaking of today is the idea of taking maybe a practice that you already do, a spiritual practice like a meditation, and what would it be like to actually physically move it through your body rather than sitting and processing it that way. Again, it's wonderful to do that. I do it all the time. I love it. And I just want to give this little invitation of what if, what more might be possible.
Hmm. Awesome. Yeah, I'm intrigued for sure, and I'm sure it'll be fun. I'm still feeling a little nervous, I'll be honest. I'm telling you, like this stuff is coming up in my in my body right now, saying, "Oh my God, this is like, not what you're used to, right?" But when I think of, Lord Shiva as he's also the Lord of the dance, right? Because he does the dance of destruction, for example, right?
Yes,
And not just destruction, but um, so dance or movement is all about vibration as well, right? And vibration, when there is friction or vibration happening, that can create worlds and at the same time destroy worlds. So vibration and frequency together with light is what creates the new reality, right?
yes.
So I totally understand, but we'll see how it goes. Um, so let's talk a little bit about about the astrology of this time right now. So how the powerful astrology that we're moving through right now can support us to embody more light. We're going through massive changes right now. There's so much happening for all of us, and I know for myself, the past 6, 7, 8 months have been like, crazy, right? And so much has changed, and it's finally settled now in the past 2 months or so. But there was so much happening. And I think when we are going through these massive extreme changes, it's even more imperative to connect with the light and embody it more so that that can help us through this transition, right?
Yeah, 100%. Yes. And so I'm not an astrologer, but I take a lot of astrology. I do a lot of events. I go to a lot of events. And I also co-hosted a workshop maybe, I don't know, 2, 3 weeks ago with an astrologer who I host workshops with. And she was talking about the Saturn Neptune conjunction at 0 degrees of Aries. That was the whole point for the event. So it was just we did it just before the February 20th, which is when that happened. And so we were talking about how there's this sort of confluence of things, right? We have the 1 year, and we had this massive conjunction at the very point of creation, the 0 point of Aries, and the year of the fire horse, that and the eclipse and all of that. And it's kind of a moment of kind of revelation, but also it's a moment of bringing embodied light into the world because we've got the dreamy Neptune and then we've got the Saturn that's more of a kind of a stabilizer and a grounder. And so everything that I was hearing for the last, I don't know, 3 or 4 months with the solar flares and the three-eye atlas, all of this light wanting to come down. And so something that actually happened to me, which is what has triggered this kind of epiphany in me about embodying light and using my abilities to facilitate movement to help people move along the ascension pathway. What happened to me is as all this light was coming in, something started happening to my digestive system, my heart, my esophagus, my vagus nerve. It was a mess. I started getting all these very peculiar symptoms. I couldn't walk without everything just like pounding. And I couldn't figure out where is this coming from. It doesn't exactly feel like the heart, but the heart's involved. And I was freaking myself out. And I realized, I tuned in and I realized that what was happening, I actually had a little chat. Yeshua came in and I was saying, okay, what is this exactly? And it felt like I was glitching, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And so what I heard was there's a resistance happening. So there's this light wanting to come in and bring joy and expansion, but the fear of really stepping in to your full power, your gifts, to really kind of lean into the unknown as we build this new earth, there's a, it's coming like the static.
Yeah.
And anyway, I didn't know what to do with this and I was freaked out. But I just started inherently. I thought, okay, I need to move, but I couldn't move much because of this rapid heart rate. It was quite debilitating, like even to go up the stairs in my own house. And that's like
Hmm.
not like me. So I was really distraught. And anyway, long story short, I started doing Qigong, which of course is another form of conscious embodiment because it, like gentle movement that I'll be describing, it brings in that intentionality of a way of moving the energy, but through meridian points, right, to bring
Hmm.
in more light, more expansion. And as I did that, I started to feel better. I worked with different healers. I really sat a lot with it. And then I did a process around the holidays, which of course is about birthing the light within. And it just seemed like everything was about this, like in my life for sure. But in general, that was kind of what was going on. And on Epiphany, and I always have epiphanies on Epiphany on January 6th, which is like the end of the season. It was, I don't know, something just dropped in, and I was like, okay, I'm ready to fully accept all of the light. And I just went about my
Wow.
day. And then at the end of the day, I realized I hadn't had any of the symptoms. It basically went away, except for I'll have once in a while, I'll have a little bit of a digestive sort of thing happening.
Hmm.
Um, but it was because of movement. And then I, of course, started moving more and dancing more. And I was so grateful. So then I really started. And then all of this, what we're talking about today, really landed for me in a way that it never had before. I've been facilitating, movement for years, but it was like, oh, this is how we can embody light. This is how we can amplify it. And then it just, the ideas just kept sort of pouring in.
I
So,
love it.
yeah.
I love it. And I have to say, you're not alone in what you were experiencing because I was experiencing the same thing from like June, July until like January, February. Where are we now? February 27th. So until like January, the same thing. And it is about um, the body was recalibrating to the new light
Yes.
codes and to be able to
Yes.
hold more light, right?
Yes.
And so it's like sometimes we have to um, go with the body to say, okay, this is what you need right now. So I couldn't do anything. I couldn't walk up the stairs. I couldn't take the dog for a walk. I could like I forced myself, but I was like,
Yeah.
even when I was walking the dog, I was like, I'm gonna pass out right here and now. Something like I'm not gonna make it, kind of thing. But I made it. Everything's fine. And I went to all the doctors and stuff because my parents were freaking out, right? So they made me go to all these doctors, and I had all sorts of tests and biopsies and God knows a million things, right? But everything is fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
It
I
came
think a
down to
lot of
you're
people were going,
perfectly fine. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. Anyway, so that was my epiphany was, hey, I can do this for myself and I can facilitate other people through this understanding. And then I had already booked you, to be on your show long before
Yeah.
kind of this arrived, and I was going to do something completely different, but it was like, no, this is what it is. So, yeah,
No, it's great. And this is how we grow. This is how we do embody more light. Is part of it is to for us to be willing to accept that we are here to do a XYZ, right?
yeah,
And part of that could be embodying more light, being more conscious, teaching, etc. So being willing to accept that for yourself and saying, yes, I'm willing to accept it. I'm willing to go forward with this kind of thing, whatever it happens to be, and without the fear, right? It's kind of like I feel like in the past 6, 7 months, what has happened is like that fear of, oh my God, what will people think? What if I make a mistake, or what if it's wrong? And like all of that's gone, right? It's just you're stepping into who you are and stepping into your mission and doing what you came here to do without fear of like like just for me anyway, that fear is all gone.
yeah,
It's like,
yeah. Yes, yes, yeah.
you know,
It's so interesting how many different expressions there are of the same journey, right? The same pathway of ascension. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I think the last little piece for me is going to be my throat. It's like, what is it that still wants to come through that I'm not, that I'm not allowing or that I'm resisting? And so we'll have to check in with my team about that. So, moving your body consciously, and I mean, like we move our bodies all the time. Like for example, I take Neo for a walk when I can, when the weather is cooperating, right? Because part of it is he loves, that's his most favorite thing, of course, in the whole wide world. And then the other part of it is that I need to move my body, right? Because I'm a very sedentary person, so like I'm always sitting working on the computer kind of thing, right? And when I'm doing my spiritual practices, I'm sitting, but that's it's different. So movement, the body needs movement to function, right? To It's kind of like get the get the yeah, get the juices flowing,
Yes.
to
Yeah.
lubricate the gears. This is what they're telling me, what they're saying. But all of that stuff, but also the more that you move, the energy starts to shift in your body and you can receive more, right? You
Yes.
can receive more light because the energy is being circulated in your body, and whatever's excess goes into the earth, of course. But that movement is necessary to receive more light, I
100%.
think.
Yes.
That's what.
Yes.
So, as much as sometimes I say I don't have time, but you need to, I know I need to make time. That's why I'm really looking forward to the warmer weather so that I can take Neo for a walk and, do that. But
Yes.
so that could be a missing piece for people to accelerate their ascension journey. And it would be nice if we could all go walk out in nature, but sometimes we cannot. But still, walking anywhere is better than not walking.
Yes. Yes.
Like some form of movement is better than nothing.
Yes. Yes. And, I guess what I'm speaking to is, and we'll get to experience this soon, but it's sort of like, as we bring in a finer frequency, if we can really, like in a more subtle way, move those energies. Walking is awesome because it gives us an opportunity to root and to ground, to connect with ley lines, to connect in nature. Um, and if we are moving in a more articulated way, then we can move finer frequencies. I think this is how I feel that this could be true. And the best thing of all would be dancing in nature, which I do in the summer. You have to come because you don't live so far from me. You'll have to come
That
and
is true.
experience it. I do it right on the water's edge, and we move just free form movement and we dance with the sunlight. So we're really moving light through our body. And that is
Beautiful.
amazing. Like it's the most freeing, joyful feeling. And I feel like nature dances back with you when you do that. But of course, we're also inhibited. That's why there's strength in numbers. I wouldn't do it by myself. I saw somebody once. It always impacted me. For the last 25 years, I think it was the year 2000, I went to Findhorn in Scotland, and it rarely is beautiful, but it was beautiful, sunny skies. It was, 82 Fahrenheit. And there's a path you can walk, and you end up in these dunes, and then you end up at the ocean or the sea. And there was a woman when I arrived that day. There was a woman, she was in a bikini. I don't know how old she was. And she had her arms out like this, and she was just twirling by herself right by
Mm.
the water. And I was like, oh my God, if I could do that, if I could feel that uninhibited and free and joyful. So I haven't done it by myself yet, so I've got the strength in numbers because I invite others to come and do it with me. Maybe I'll get
Right.
there at some point, but it is amazing to do that, whether it's trees or, on the sand by the water. It's fantastic. Yeah.
So I was just thinking maybe you have like Celtic blood in your lineage somewhere. That's why dancing in
Oh,
the in the
yeah.
in the trees and stuff.
I don't know. There's something about it. It just, yeah, it's so beautiful. Yeah.
And like you said, very freeing, right? And then you're one with nature, as you're doing that, right?
Yeah.
That's the sense I'm getting, that
Yeah.
you're one with nature, with your body, with the elements, etc. And it can
Yes.
be so empowering.
Yes. Yeah. Everyone seems to be resonating with that in the chat.
Oh yeah. Well, of course, when we were kids, we were uninhibited, right? But
Yes.
now, as we grow up,
Yes. Yes.
we just take on those judgments and so on. But it's time to be a kid again.
Yeah. And because I do a lot of work with mostly women in the second half of life, one of the things that can happen is we get disconnected from our body, as we start to grow older, maybe we don't look like we used to, or we don't feel like we used to. And patriarchy, of course, has told us that this is not okay. We're becoming invisible. Nobody wants to see this, all of that stuff. We hold this in our bodies as well, right? And so the way to move, we can move that out of us by moving,
Yeah.
I feel. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And so again, when you're talking about, movement, let's just throw the word dance out of the
Yes.
window. Let's just say
Yes.
soft movement, gentle
Yes.
movement. It is about reconnecting to your body, right? It is being in touch with your body, reconnecting to your body, and it being accepting of your body at the same time. So your body is your sacred temple in this life, right? And so when I'm assuming when you are going through these movements, it is about honoring your body as the sacred temple, right?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's about connecting to source energy, right, which is light. It's about connecting to the above and the below. I mean, I think about the ancient temples, what we can imagine and in our remembrance. And the women, particularly, would have gathered, right, for thousands of years and way beyond. I'm sure in Atlantis and Lemuria, I must have been facilitating movement or something, or it was just probably a natural part of life. This is what I just kind of imagine. And but even if you just go back, 4,000 years to pre-patriarchal times, the women would gather in ceremony, and dance was a movement. I'm just going to keep using the term movement. Movement was always part of ceremony, right? So I imagine, and I don't know for sure, but I imagine that, the red tent, when women would have their moon time, they would gather. I know that they gathered during the dark moon to talk and to be joyful and to do things that were nourishing for their body. And I can imagine that dance was part of that. And the feminine mysteries, of course, is all about death and rebirth, dying to the old and being born again every 29 days according to the lunar cycle. And we may be talking about that a little bit more later. But that's the temple. Is right? We are that temple, and dance or movement is that language of moving through those sacred portals of life and death and rebirth as well.
Absolutely. And I think we're starting to gather again, right? But for the longest time, it was frowned upon, etc., right? But there is power in gatherings, in groups, and just being able to be free, in that sacred space and in that private company where, we women can just talk about anything and everything. And I think that is so needed even now, you know, um, especially now because there's so much going on with everyone that I think that community is so necessary for all of us, right?
Yeah.
And so um, let's also talk a little bit about the potential of conscious movement to heal dis-ease in the physical body. And of course, neither I nor Karen are medical practitioners in any way. So what we are sharing here is just for informational purposes. If you do have any issues, please see a professional medical practitioner. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think it comes back to the story I told about, what happened to me in the fall, and all of that. And I really feel that the moving part and the being willing to move light through my body and actually physically moving that light is what contributed to mostly, I would say 95% of the physical symptoms that I had kind of literally disappeared in that one day. So that was my experience. And yeah, I think, and there are examples. There are women who have created dance or movement practices over the last 50 years or more that have had terminal conditions and have literally danced and moved it through their bodies. There's a woman in California. She's passed now, but she was, I think, I can't remember the complete story. Her name was Anna Halperin. And she has, to this day, there's an institute that teaches, they work with painting and talk therapy, but dance is kind of the foundation of it. She was a dancer and taught for years. And I think she first was diagnosed with cancer in the 70s and then again at some point later. But she literally lived to be more than 100. And she was told, you're done.
Yeah,
And she danced her way through it. So, so I think there's a lot to that. And again, this is her experience, and we can't claim that this is possible. We don't know, but these stories exist, and I think it makes sense to me. If energy is life, right? Life force, chi,
yeah,
and
yeah.
we can, and cells are reacting in a certain way, and we bring light through the articulation and also let's not forget, and this is an important piece, the releasing of things that are stuck in our bodies,
Hmm.
emotions, old stories, old identities, all of that kind of thing, then it's possible to change the frequency of a cell. And there's
Yeah,
more than one way to do
absolutely.
that, but movement, I think, again, that articulation in that tiny, tiny way in those cells can move differently.
Absolutely. I totally agree. And like whenever I do any healing work for clients for the community, I always say afterwards, drink some water, go outside if you can, walk around, because
Yeah.
it's the movement that is going to help to
Yes.
do more of the releasing and the integrating,
Yes,
So
exactly.
I
100%.
that that part I totally totally get. Makes sense to me. Stagnation, then movement could change the cells. Absolutely, right?
Yeah.
So energy in the body is meant to move. Your physical body is also meant to move, right? So that things don't become stagnant, for sure.
Yeah.
Let's also talk a little bit about the benefits of light movement to your soul mission as a light worker. And so many of us who are on these types of calls are light workers. A lot of us are doing our soul work, our soul mission work, but perhaps we could have more ease with it because it's not always easy, but perhaps we can have more ease with it if we started to incorporate and add to our practices some light movement.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. It's like what I was saying about activating the land and the land activates us, when we go out in nature. So someone, let's say, is a light worker, a grid worker particularly, wouldn't it be lovely to get together? I mean, we talked about this already, but just gather a couple of your friends and get a little bit of music on a playlist and do the type of work you might do, by yourself and do it with some movement and just see how it feels, how it might be a little bit different. Likewise, I mean, I think of light workers who are starting to now work with their hands more. I think I read this somewhere, I don't remember where. I know I have several friends who move their hands as they're moving energies and light, right? It just kind of happens. See, you are a mover. You're dancing with your hands. I knew I'm going to challenge, I'm going to keep coming back to this. And at the end, you're going to tell me, Keren, I am a dancer. Let's see. Let's see.
Oh, okay. Well, if I say I am, as in, all my experiences and all my lives, yes, because I know in a past life I was a dancer and like a classical Indian dancer
Oh,
who
amazing.
danced in a temple, Shiva temple. So I know I have
Ah,
done it in the
okay. Now
past.
we're okay. Excellent. We're unlocking. Slowly we'll unlock those that remembrance is in your cells, right?
Yes, exactly. It is all there. It is all there. Ah, awesome. All right. So we talked a little bit about conscious movement, Christ consciousness, and the divine feminine. What was there anything more that you wanted to add to that?
Yeah, we did kind of cover a lot of it for sure. But when I think about Christ consciousness, for example, there's certain things that I think about, and everybody might have a slightly different kind of take on it. But one of the things is that sort of the balance of divine masculine and divine feminine, the sacred union, right? The coming together. And so, if our body is a vessel and a conduit, especially a woman's body, I will say, I think it's especially a woman's body, a conduit between heaven and earth, right? Bringing Christ consciousness into form in through the body, right? Then that's the body is the vehicle, the body is the vessel for that. And um, that's how we manifest, that's how we create, and that's how we create heaven on earth, which is exactly what we're trying to do right now. And then I think of like gnosis, the concept of direct experience. So how do we have a direct experience? We can do a meditative journey. And again, like I said, those are fabulous. I do them daily. And what if, right, we're using movement to amplify that, the bringing down of that light or the raising up of that light, through and alchemizing it in the cells of our body and amplifying it.
Yep. I love it. And yes, when I'm channeling energies, my hands are always moving. Yes. So for sure. And it happens naturally. Like it's not like I
Yes. Yeah.
do anything, it just happens. Same with the breath. So I'm using the breath as well
Uh-huh.
with the body to move the energies, to bring in the energies, move the energies, etc. Right? And that is all part of movement, right?
Exactly. Breath is essential to movement because you actually breathe as you expand a part of your body, or you
Yeah,
contract
absolutely.
and you breathe out. Same as exercise, right? There's always in yoga, it's like you breathe in when you do this and you breathe out when you
Yeah,
do that. It's very
yeah,
similar. Or Tai Chi, Qigong, all of those practices. Yeah, breath is
yeah.
essential. It's all connected. How can we disconnect one thing from the other? It all goes together. Yeah.
Exactly. So one thing I forgot to ask in the chat at the beginning is like, how many of you consider yourself dancers, or how many of you feel challenged or triggered when I say dancing or movement? So if you want to type in the chat, let us know. I cannot be the only one, I don't think. So it's like I'm sure there are some more of you, and part of that could be that I've never felt comfortable in the physical body,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So part of because I've had trauma, in the body, so perhaps I was just never comfortable
Yes.
being in the body and expressing myself through the body. If that makes sense.
Yeah. I think that's a really, really important point because again, it's that disconnection from the body. Um, and it could be from absolutely could be from trauma that I think was a very, very important.
Mm.
Yeah.
So there are some dancers here. So we have some dancers, and then somebody else says, I'm unfortunately challenged. Another one's dancer. Another one, I used to love dance, but completely lack coordination. I come from a family of dancers, but I was more of a gymnast, but that's still movement, so that's great. But I know a lot of light workers who are not comfortable in the body because they don't even want to be here on the planet,
Okay. Yeah.
right? So I'm not of that, it's like I'm definitely here, but just because of traumas, I guess, just didn't feel comfortable with the body.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, I'm a dancer too, but unfortunately now last year with my foot couldn't. Wow, that's great. So many dancers here. So many uninhibited dancers, we'll say, uninhibited movement practitioners.
I think what gets people kind of stuck is this idea that it has to look a certain way,
Yeah,
right? That the coordination was mentioned. So, well, I'm not coordinated, therefore I can't enjoy dance. But the truth is, so the kind of movement that I'm talking about is not about how it looks, it's about how it feels. And it's interesting because I came from the ultimate, it's got to look exactly right. Besides ballet, I think ballet is the ultimate. But in ballroom and Latin dancing, you're being judged. There are men and women with a clipboard all around the floor, and they're staring and they're judging, and it's political and hierarchical, and it's not. This is not what I'm talking about. But I came from that, and then many years later, I discovered a practice called Nia, which is where you are. It is prescriptive in that there are steps, but it's for me, it's not complicated. For some people, it's harder with coordination, but you do it with bare feet. And then there's a period of time where you dance freely. And for me, this was so liberating. And there were no mirrors in the place where I did it, which was
Mm.
another thing, right? You're always staring at yourself in the mirror. You got to get the technique right, and the arms have to be just so, and all of that. This is absolutely not about that. This is the antithesis of this. This is about how it feels, not how it looks. You can do it with your eyes closed. It's an internal experience that expresses externally, but it's not meant for watching. It can be. There are aspects of it that can be, but what we're going to do today is not about that. It's about the feeling and it's just a meditation. That's really all it
Mhm.
is. Yeah.
Awesome. And so I think we talked about this a little bit before, but can you share with us some simple ways that we can bring more of the movement into our I mean, like I talk with my hands all the time, so I'm always moving into our spiritual practice to amplify healing or accelerate our ascension journey, or you know, um, what's the word? What I'm looking for, to hold more light at the same time.
Yes. Yes. So I think you guys are going to get more ideas after we do the practice for how it might work for you if you resonate with this and what you resonate with from what we're going to do. But I would say, whatever your existing spiritual practice is, it's maybe to consider how might I bring some form of movement into this or do it in a way that incorporates movement. And like I said, you'll have a much better idea after we do a little bit. So that's one thing I would say, absolutely. A lot of people in the fitness space or in working with menopausal women are talking about movement snacks. I don't know if you've heard that term, where you just do something for 5 minutes, but you do it a number of times in the day. So one time might be sort of a flexibility thing, or you might do something where you bring nitric oxide into the body. There's all these different theories. But I was thinking about how can I do movement snacks with dance and movement. So, of course, the easiest thing is if you have Spotify, get two songs, one or two songs, put them on, and just move intuitively. You don't have to change your clothes. You don't have to be fancy. Just allow the music to come through you and to move you, and then to move with light. Bring the light into your body. That's what we'll do in a little bit.
Awesome. And now just a little bit about movement during the lunar cycle, the dark moon, especially for with respect to healing, transformation, or ascension.
Yes. Okay. So, and I may have talked about this on other shows that we've done. I know I talked about it because I do a lot of work with the lunar cycle and particularly the 3 days of the dark moon. So, if you think about what the lunar cycle is, it's a kind of a representation of the feminine mysteries, right? And we have kind of a time of inspiration at the waxing moon. And that's the time when we are stepping into our virgin or maiden energy. And we usually have more inspiration. We're inspired to get into action to bring our creative seeds to fruition at the full moon, which is when things are revealed and illuminated. And that's really in the height of kind of like that um, ovulation stage, and it's connected to the mother in her fullness. And then we have the waning stage after that, and that's about releasing, letting go, dying to the old, so that we can prepare ourselves for the initiation of the dark moon. And so I typically take women through a process to for the whole lunar cycle, but whether you're kind of noticing, this is about understanding who you are, your light, your shadow, seeing what triggers you during the month, moving with that, just acknowledging it. And then when you get to the dark moon, there's sort of a 3-day process. And in a nutshell, that 3-day process is about on the first day before the day of the new moon. So the first day, what I would call the first day of the dark moon, you're releasing. So you're kind of gathering up all the pieces from the last lunation and saying, okay, what am I celebrating? What am I bringing into my heart? What's the wisdom? But what things triggered me, and what old stories are those about? Old stories, roles, identities you've played, emotions, belief systems, all that kind of stuff that we're needing to let go of. And I have a ceremony that people can do on that day. And then the next day is about resting, receiving. That's the red tent day when we're still and we want to be nourished in all the ways that feel good to us, and really we've emptied ourselves of all the things that we're holding. And then on the third day is when we start to move through into that new expansion and excitement, and the new seeds come in. And there's a meditation that I do to bring in those new seeds and fertilize them and commit to birth them and nourish them. And then you just rinse and repeat every cycle. And it's a great process for transformation and learning. But what I realized is that we can bring movement into this to amplify that. So now I'm starting to work with that. So how that might look is on the first day, you're going to do movement that's more about releasing. And so that you might do some shaking or letting go and imagining, but as you move your body, imagine moving those things down into the earth, giving them over to Mother Earth to be transmuted back into love, into compost. And then on the second day, you move in stillness, which sounds like an oxymoron, but there are ways to move in beautiful micro movements in the body. And then on the third day, then you're starting to move this energy up and back down, fertilizing these seeds. And then you might have, more of a celebratory burst of energy, and you're moving again into creation. So that's how I'm exploring and expanding on the work that I already do, using movement to kind of amplify and make it more.
Awesome. I love it. And, there's those 3 days, especially, there's so much transformation possible in those 3 days. Yeah.
Yes.
For
Yeah.
healing, transformation, expansion, etc., because we're releasing a lot as well, right at the beginning,
Yeah.
which is is part of our growth, is to release what no longer serves us.
Yeah. 100%.
Okay. Awesome. All right. So I know we're going to do a transmission. So I'm a little confused. So the transmission is one thing, and then the gentle guided movement journey is another, or is it all one?
I think it's going to be combined. I'm feeling that I'm going to be guided in how to sort of describe and facilitate what we do. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So we'll do that in just a minute, but I guess before that, I just want to take us all through the special offer package, and then we'll do the
Okay.
transmission and journey. So give me 1 second. I'm going to share my screen. Yeah. Okay, and you should be able to see my screen now. So the Karen has two packages. Package A is the Embodied Light Movement Mysteries Masterclass, as well as a 55-minute private intuitive guidance session. And then package B is just the Embodied Light Movement Mysteries Masterclass. So do you want to tell us a little bit about what's going to happen on March 11th when we're in the masterclass?
Yes. So I'm going to be combining a few things. So you're going to get a taste of that now when we do our little practice. But of course, there's so much to this and so many different ways to move with light and to think about movement and different kinds of practices. So I want to deepen into this little teaser that you'll get today and talk more about how. So for the reluctant mover or dancer, this might be something you would hopefully enjoy, but to how to use what's available to us in the elements for one thing, but also to move with the divine feminine in specific ways. So circles and spirals and waves, and how to bring those elements into the body and how to is if you think about it, light is a wave, right? And frequency. And so how to actually feel that and move with it and allow the body to naturally kind of move and articulate in those waves and in feminine flowing ways. So I'll go a little bit deeper into that. And also because we're meeting during the waning part of the moon, I'll explain a little bit more and we'll actually do some movement practices, working with releasing blocks, stuck things, beliefs, old beliefs that we want to let go of, all of that through some very gentle, simple, personalized movement. Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. So that's the March 11th masterclass. That's awesome. And then there's also a 55-minute intuitive session with you, Keren. So what can people expect in the private
Yes.
one-to-one session?
Yeah, so with that, I'm really bringing all the different skill sets that I have from my, certified coaching and the movement facilitation work, but also my Rahani celestial healing and angel healing. And so just it's a kind of going to be very, very much customized to the people who would like to work through a particular challenge or topic. And I'll just be guided into which of the tools, and of course in consultation with you as well as to which tools might be the most effective, and we'll work through and move literally probably move through, and again it can be just movement can just be here's a gesture, or what's a gesture that is kind of describing how you feel about this problem. And, somebody might contract. And then we work with that and then arrive at a different gesture of how they feel at the end. So it could be that simple. Or if someone is a dancer, very comfortable in the body and moving, we might do something that's a little bit more involved with movement. So very
Awesome.
intuitively guided.
And of course, it also includes a card reading and a channeled message that you'll email to them after, so this is
Yes.
something separate and apart from the personal
Yeah.
session.
Yeah, I was just failing to just do a little bit of kind of tuning in after the session, immediately after the session. As you are integrating the energies, I will also do the same and just see what else wants to come in as an insight, and I'll pull a card and I'll get some guidance for them and send that as well.
Awesome. So that's package A for 111, and a payment plan is available, of course. So, and then package B is just the masterclass, which is happening on March 11th for $33. There's some wonderful testimonials from folks who have worked with Keren in the past, so you can please check those out. And there's, of course, a fuller bio for Keren and all the works that she does. That's also here. So please take a look at this, see which package resonates with you. A payment plan is available for package A. And of course, if you are an Inner Circle member, please use your gift code as well. Awesome. Thank you. So for the personal session, is it only related to movement or
No, no, no.
dance,
So
or can it be anything?
anything at all. Absolutely anything. Yeah. Yeah, movement is
Okay.
a tool rather than the challenge.
Yes.
So it could be a challenge, but it's not the challenge. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, perfect. Thank you. All right. So that was Karen's special offer. So now we're going to I'm gonna do a process
Yes, we
or
are.
journey or transmission or
Yes.
movement. all
Yes.
sorts of stuff happening here.
Yes. Okay. So the first thing I want to say is, and I'll ask you, Shefali, we didn't actually chat about this beforehand, but I've done it different ways. But if people are
Mhm.
comfortable to keep the cameras on, they can. But I'm actually fine and maybe even encouraging people to turn their cameras off. And also to close your eyes. You don't have to watch me. I'm going to keep my camera on because you might want to watch the recording afterwards for whatever reason and just have a feel for what it looked like in my body, not for comparison in any way, but just, I don't know, maybe it's inspirational, maybe not, or maybe you look at it and say, oh, she looks silly too. So I have permission, you know?
Yeah.
But now, if you are challenged physically, obviously, only do what you know your body can do. Again, we're not doing aerobics, we're not doing steps or choreography. So we'll just take that right off the table. So this is not about difficulty. This is about doing what I know everybody here already knows how to do, but maybe just exploring it in a little bit different way. So modifications, you could choose to do nothing and that's okay and to watch, but I really encourage you if you physically can to stand up with me and to do it to the degree that you can. If you have an injury or anything like that, of course, stay seated. You can choose to close your eyes or you could watch, but I think like a meditation, I would encourage you to close your eyes and just to feel into it. You could either imagine yourself doing it. So it's like you have a projector and you see yourself on the screen dancing or doing the movements. I have to stop saying dancing, but whatever word works for you. Um, or you could to the degree that you can close your eyes. And if I guide something, you can just imagine that you're doing it. And it might involve, you might move a little here, or if I'm talking about arms, you could do the arms if your arms feel good, but only to the degree that you want. And again, you're going, afterwards you'll say, well, what was all that fuss about? I could totally do that. It's not hard. So don't worry, it's going to be good. I promise.
And we don't have to have our cameras on, so that's even an added bonus, right?
Yes.
So we only Karen needs to have her camera on so that we have something for the recording, so, which
Yes,
is
you don't
great.
want to just have a black screen. Yeah.
You know,
And also, I've chosen not to do music, which might seem strange, but there's a couple reasons. One is a logistical reason that because these interviews go on YouTube, there's always a copyright issue with music unless you have royalty-free music. But actually, and I thought about this a lot, I think it's important to actually show because yes, people think of dancing and movement to music and oh, well, how could we move without music? But I want to show you that there's something that intuitive that happens in the body and the body directs without music even. Music is lovely and it makes it more joyful and all of those things. And we can do it without. And so we're going to use the music of our own bodies and our own natural rhythm.
sounds good. And of course, don't forget, like what we are doing here in the movement process is embodying the light, right? So we're not just moving for the
Exactly.
sake of moving, we are
Yes.
moving to embody more light.
Yes. Very
Um,
important. Yes.
And then we will take some questions after the process in case anybody, something has come up for you and you want to
Yes.
talk about it or share, etc. We'll take some questions after the process.
Yes. Yes. Exactly. Yeah. And that is the intention. And you may have a specific intention, but the intention is just to move light through your body. Yep.
Yeah,
Okay. Are you
awesome.
ready? Are we going to do this?
I'm ready. I mean,
We
you
can
and
do
Nora
it.
might be the only ones. I was gonna say you and Nora might be the only ones having the camera on, but I don't need to, so that's great. I'm just gonna, I'm gonna listen, watch. No, I'm gonna close my eyes because when I do any type of light work or healing work, I like to close my eyes. So I'm gonna
Yes.
be closing my eyes as well.
Wonderful. And yeah, just listen to the prompts and there's no wrong way to do this. It's your way. Okay. So I'm going to move my chair out of the way. And I will have my eyes closed for some of it. I will probably be in and out. I just want to make sure everybody can see me okay. You don't need to see my feet or anything like that. But just so you can see most of me. All right, is this good, Shefali? Looks like it's good. Okay, perfect. All right. So I'm going to invite you to just stand nice and tall, but with your knees slightly bent. I'm actually going to show you something sideways here. So we tend to, because we're at the computer all the time and on our phones, we tend to be a little hunched. And so we think of standing tall and we kind of pull our shoulder blades back like this and we get a little funky. So I'm going to suggest, and this is a beautiful practice for light workers anyway. So I'm going to suggest you put your hands on your thymus in the higher heart chakra. And so from wherever you are, just imagine now that you are bringing that higher heart up. And you see how that naturally expands your chest and opens up your heart. So if you can aim to stay that way, that would be amazing. Okay, so now I invite you to close your eyes and just to stand with the intention to have your higher heart and your heart in this beautiful expansion. And stand with your feet about a hip distance apart, and your knees are just loosely bent. And if you're familiar with Qigong, this is the Wu Qi position, or very similar to that. And you might just imagine there's a little bit of air underneath your armpits so that you could float your arms up if you wanted. All right, so we're just going to begin here. And I'm going to invite you just to loosely shake off, very loosely. So I'm barely moving. I'm just wiggling a little. And I'm just letting my body relax. I'm letting my head relax. You could open your eyes for this if you want to just kind of have a sense of what this looks like. But just to release, before we really get into this, I'm just going to ask you to release and let go of the expectations, the what is this, all of that. So we're just going to let that go. And we're also going to let go of the day so far and all of that. And just allow this energy to discharge into Mother Earth. So we're going to empty the vessel before we fill ourselves with light. And again, it looks kind of silly. We're shaking a little bit. Again, don't do more than your body can do. If you have any neck or shoulder issues, just take it micro movements. Okay. So we're just going to gently come out of that and come into a sense of stillness. So just take a deep breath and then exhale and send all of your awareness down into the soles of your feet. If you're seated, you can do the same. And imagine that you have magnets on the soles of your feet and that there's a beautiful, large crystalline magnet. I don't think that's a thing, but imagine this beautiful Mother Earth magnet that is full of energy and life force is drawing you down, and your magnets on the soles of your feet are attracting you into the center of Mother Earth. And you can also send beautiful roots down into the soles of your feet. So now I'm going to invite you, as well as you're visualizing this, rather than just standing still, just to shift your weight very gently and very slowly from one foot to the other. So your feet are both still flat on the floor, but you're just gently moving from side to side. So this is just a way of rooting or grounding that feels very visceral. If you're seated, just see if you can bring your awareness or a little bit more weight from one foot to the other. So we're connecting and rooting and grounding in. And so now, sending those roots down, as you may have done many, many times, into Mother Earth. We're going to start to invite that light to come up. So we're bringing Mother Earth's light up. And so I'm still just gently rocking. And now feel that activation in your feet. And you may want to wiggle your toes a little bit. Or move, again, very gently. Just putting the weight slightly a little bit more on one side of your foot or the other. Or ever so slightly, again in micro movements. Forward in your weight or a little bit back towards your heels. Of course, not enough that throws you off balance, just a gentle, gentle movement. And now can you imagine that your body is moving in a very, very tiny circle? And you might want to bring your arms in front of you and have them just about 6 or 8 inches apart from one another, palms facing each other. And just gently circle your hands as you circle your body. And imagine that light coming up through the body. And you might see like a serpent energy. You might sense the energy coming up through the legs, winding around and around and around. And now you might imagine, or you might want to actually move your arms as if you're gesturing to the ground and raising this energy up into the body. So you can lift your arms and lower them, lift them and lower them. If it feels right, you can just imagine, even if you can't articulate your body this way, just imagine that there are waves now coming in through the body, waves of energy, waves of light frequency, and bringing that up into the body. Maybe it sits for a little while in the sacral area, and you can start to feel light. You may naturally just bring your hands in front and be moving energy with your hands around your sacral area. And not forgetting the back of the body as well. You can move your hands as you still rock from side to side gently if that feels right. There's no way to get this wrong. Sensing light energy coming up now into the heart space. And bringing your arms, if they naturally want to come up into your heart space, and imagining or even gesturing to open up the chest, whatever feels natural. Maybe your arms want to move in circles. Just see what wants to happen. And if your legs want to move a little bit further and actually move a little, make sure you have enough space to do that, especially if your eyes are closed. We're going to keep moving this, feeling this pillar of light, and imagine it coming up the body. Feel it coming up the body. Bring the hands up. And we're going to raise our arms up towards the heavens, the planets, the stars, connecting into that divine masculine energy and the divine feminine energy of the moon. And you might have a gesture for your arms to how to bring that, invite that energy back down. It comes back down through the crown. Open your crown wide, and that energy comes back down. You could also move, very gently move your head to activate the pineal gland and the throat chakra, the Alta Major in the back, bringing it back into the heart and feeling now that there's a connection of light between the above and the below, that you are this beautiful conduit between heaven and earth. And so now I'm going to invite you just to loosen up the movement a little bit. So as if you're just stepping or walking, or you may want to get a little fancier, whatever feels right for you. And I'm going to have you focus now again on this. You've got your pillar of light, you're connected to the above and the below, but focus on your heart space. You may want to put your hands on your heart, or you may want to move energy around in front of the heart, perhaps in behind, and see if you can sense a beautiful ball of light. See if it has a color. Whatever pops into your head, whatever you see. And we're going to dance with that light, that ball of light. See where it wants to go for healing. So just imagine it can be a small light or a bigger light, and just see where it wants to go and move your body in a way that the light starts to travel. So it may travel down to a leg or may go into your back. Just see. And even if you can't move your body that way, you may just, as you're moving from side to side, you can always come back to side, very gentle rocking. And you can imagine where the ball of light is. Can you sense it now? Can you put some light under your arms and feel it in your back as if you were growing your wings? And if you feel that you can bring in circles and spirals, you can do anything you like. There's no way to get this wrong. Just be gentle. And so what if now you could see that ball of light, wherever it is in your body right now, see it coming out or down through your arms and out into your fingertips. And remembering that there's a color to this beautiful light. Where do you want to send this light? Now you could open your eyes. I may have drifted off from the camera there because I have my eyes closed. I should have maybe had them open, but let's move this beautiful colored light, whatever color it is for you. See it coming out of your fingers, and as you gesture with your arm, you're seeing this beautiful light now moving and expanding throughout your aura, strengthening your aura, bringing healing, expansion, joy, whatever quality you're wanting to bring in. Maybe you could set an intention here to dance with that quality. Just coming back to the light, the color, moving the light with your intention, allowing it to expand. And we're going to just start to bring this to a close. So just make your movements a little smaller, a little slower, whichever way feels right to you, until you come back to that gentle side to side rocking, and maybe your arms come down. And so just come now into a place of stillness, focusing on that beautiful ball of light now in your heart, and calling in that energy. just noticing, how does it feel? How does your body feel? Notice your spine, your feet, your heart space. Where is the energy? And so this is you dancing with the beloved. This is you channeling light, transmuting light into life force inside of your divine temple, your body. Just come back into the breath. Just pull in the light, gather it into your heart. Bring your arms to your heart chakra, your hands, and just send a little love into this physical vessel, thanking it for all of the light that it has embodied through this practice. Giving yourself some self-love. Thanking the body for showing you how to hold more light. Take one more deep breath. Just anchor in once more through your feet. And slowly start to come back. So we're aware now of the space that we're in. And when you're ready, you can slowly, slowly make your way back.
Wow, that was not what I expected. That was amazing. Thank you. How's everyone doing? I was able to do all of that, so
I did
that was,
try to tell you that it was not difficult. Yeah, we weren't doing step together, step left. There was no jumping or any of that. Just a
yeah.
gentle exploration of light. Just a
And
little starting point, a little teaser.
no, it was great. And I found that I was yawning throughout the whole
Ah,
process.
yeah,
So that was interesting. It's like
energy was moving. Yeah.
this exactly because like I'm not tired, so it must be, the energy was definitely moving through the body and yeah, piece of cake. So, how, sorry, how was it for all of you?
Yeah. And I'm sorry, I
Letting,
may have drifted slowly. I didn't realize I opened my eyes at one point and I was like quite far over and I thought, oops, I
well, I think you were still in the
shuffle
frame
back.
because I was looking from time to time. You were still in the frame, so you were okay.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. All right. So if anybody has any questions, comments that you'd like to share, you want to raise your hand. But yeah, I was definitely feeling it. Definitely like yawning through the whole thing. But yes, nice and gentle for sure. All right, Tanya, you want to unmute?
Yes, please. Hi, everyone.
Hi, Tanya.
So, I love dancing, but I haven't been dancing like for ages. I dance very rarely, and I think to myself I should dance more often because it's probably you get rid of all kind of negative energies, heavy energies, and
Yeah, definitely.
it just so
Tanya, Tanya,
joyful for me. I don't know why I don't do it. Like I'm not connected now to my body as much. You don't hear me?
we can now. Yeah, it's
You don't hear
better
me?
now.
Oh,
You're
sorry.
okay now.
I don't know what. Yeah, I'm on the phone. Maybe. So I I just got good message about connecting to my body. My question is about resistance, because it's the second time I hear this message. Because I had all the same experience with heart palpitations and pains and stuff. And I was told that I'm resisting. Well, why would I be resisting? Is it subconscious? Why would I be resisting to be able to hold more light? Is it fear related, or is it something else? What do you think?
Yeah. I mean, without fully tuning in, but I think there's a collective experience, especially among light workers, right? We in past lives have been persecuted for having these gifts and for sharing them in the world and for holding more light. It has not always ended well. And so I feel that there's a part of us that still hangs on to that. That memory is in our DNA somehow, No, Shefali, how do you feel about that?
Yeah, absolutely. The resistance is fear of the unknown, fear
Yes.
of change is basically what it comes down to.
Yeah.
Because if you embody more light, things are going to change in your life, and part of you does not want change. So even though we say all the time we want change, we don't really, because things are going to shift in our lives, right? And
Yeah.
are you ready for that?
Yeah.
So it depends on how badly you want it.
That's actually, a big part of the lunar practice, the dark moon practice. It's a way of practicing dying to the old and going into the unknown. So even though there's always more layers, right? So even though I've been doing this for 5 years, I obviously hit a point with all of this light coming in where it's like my body didn't have the capacity to hold it. And so it created some dis-ease in the body. Yeah.
It's normal. It's absolutely normal. And the body also can sometimes take time to integrate. So we're channeling, we're receiving, we're downloading, etc. We're trying to embody more light, but the body also needs to catch up. So sometimes it needs to go through a process of clearing, cleansing, clearing out, releasing before it can even hold more light. In my experience, anyways. So so part of what you may have been going through could have been that purging and releasing, so that your body is now ready to hold more light.
Yeah.
But then it still comes down to you.
I'm still aching. Shefali, I'm still aching.
Yeah.
Still
So
aching.
so even that is a message for you, right? So there's still somewhere where you're not comfortable with it. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
The other thing I just want to say really quickly is, we're constantly trying to fill ourselves up with so many things, and we still have so many things inside. And if we don't empty the vessel, which is what we did in the beginning of that practice, then we can't hold more light. It's just not even possible. That's why we have to die to the old. I mean, if you think about light, right? Enlightenment is about becoming lighter. So it's on one level about holding more light, but it's also about lightening the load, being less heavy with burdens and old stories. And
decluttering.
Yeah.
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 Thank you.
Decluttering your beliefs, decluttering your trauma, all of that stuff for sure.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's a process. You can't always, it doesn't happen necessarily like this, definitely not, and may not even happen in the timing that you want it to. So, allow yourself the grace to go through the process, but continue to do the work.
I'm doing my best, I think. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. All right. I just want to share a little bit about what some people had written in the chat. Just really quickly. I loved it too. Somebody says I was walking in the forest earlier, spreading the light. Awesome. Someone says my sinuses started draining and still are. Great session. Awesome. So that's releasing. So that's great, right? That's a shift happening there. Thank you, Karen. I did it sitting and it was okay. Awesome. Good. My ball of light was for my root and sacral. Okay, awesome. So that's where it wanted to go, right? Yeah, and it's going to be different for each person, right?
100%,
So
yeah.
I'm trying to remember where my ball of light wanted to go. It's like it was just 2 minutes ago, and I've like already forgotten. But I want to say I want to say my throat, but there's nothing wrong with my throat. There's absolutely nothing. But just I'm just I don't know holding. If somebody has a message for me about my throat and why I can't talk during these shows, let me know. Okay. I think it's because I'm transmitting light and energies and clearing for the group and the collective during these shows, and that's why it's strenuous, restrained, something like that. Anyway, that's my impression. But no, that was, and so I use that process to work with that.
Yes, and you can totally do that. You can see where it wants to go, but you could also have an intention and direct it to a particular energy center or part of your body where there's some kind of dis-ease and work with that and see. I want to mention this too, is, to play with this, if it resonates with you, play with it. And we'll definitely do this in the March 11th gathering as well, but we'll do some different practices. But you could try this yourself. Like you can sit and, and ground and root and connect, then get up and do it in the way that we just did it. And just notice how the energy feels differently in your body. Like I find my spine gets way more tingly, and I sometimes will feel like the feathers on the top of my head. And also, this is coming back to the question about how to use in practice, like in a daily practice. What about having an intention, like something you're trying to work on? So think of it, then let it go. Put on a piece of music, dance to it. And I bet you this happens to me all the time. At the end, because you've moved energy, the insight that you're looking for that you haven't had will come through.
Mhm. Yeah,
Yeah.
I can definitely see that happening for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, no, great tip for all of us. And again, it doesn't have to be dancing, it just be gentle movement like we
That's
did
right.
today.
So can I ask you, Shefali? I'm not going to say, are you a dancer? I'm going to say, are you a mover?
Yes, definitely a mover and shaker.
Okay. Excellent.
Definitely a mover and shaker.
Well,
Yes,
my
for sure.
job here is partially done.
Exactly. Somebody else says in the chat, I'm 65 years old and I do yoga daily, including weight training, cardio, and I dance on Zoom on Saturday night. Oh, wow.
Nice.
Awesome. That's great. So, we can have dance movement Zoom parties, right? So,
Absolutely.
and they don't have to be recorded, so you can have music if you want to,
Yes,
right?
exactly. Yes. It's
Like,
definitely
like they,
something I've considered doing in the past and may yet to do for sure. Because I
yeah,
love doing it outside. There's so many benefits. But in the Canadian winter, which is 9 months of the year, sometimes we have to wait a while. So,
exactly. Definitely feels like that for sure. No, that was awesome, and definitely nothing we've ever done on the show like that before. So that was new for sure. Amazing. So thank you. And movement for my body especially too is so necessary because I'm sitting all the time. And when I sit at here at this desk, my neck and shoulders and tend to ache because I don't know, I think the desk height is not right, but whatever. And so doing that little movement exercise process helped to lighten that up. So that was great. Thank you.
yeah. Thank you.
Yeah,
No,
that's
I
awesome.
really appreciate everybody being willing to experiment and to play
Yes,
and
it was
coming with
fun.
curiosity. Yeah.
Yeah, it was definitely fun. All right. So any last words of wisdom for us before we go today?
Gosh, well, I mean, I want to say this is the tip of the iceberg, but that doesn't seem like the right metaphor for movement, but it is. There's so much more we can do with our bodies than we realize. To move with light, to move as light, to embody the goddess. That's a whole other topic, and
Mhm.
to bring in healing energies from the archangels and different beings of light, and to move and to dance with them. That's also a possibility. There's so much more here. And so I would like, if this resonates with people, I'd love to see you on the 11th. But just know that you are a divine dancer dancing the divine dance of life.
Yeah, I love that. That is so true. The divine dancer dancing the divine. I can't even say it back, but the way you said it was perfect. So I can't even say it back. That was, and that's how we have to look at life as a dance, right? And we are dancing throughout life with energies, with light, with intention, with consciousness. And it's, I used to always say it's a flow, but movement is flow. Flow is movement, right? So let's flow with life. We'll say let's move with life. We'll even say let's dance with life. So good job. Thank you. Um, I will have the recordings out in a little while. Please go back and watch and listen, and then go back and do this movement guided process as well for yourself again, because in the privacy of your home, you can just watch and listen and do it and see what comes up for you. See how it might be slightly different, but see how what they're saying. See how much more freedom you experience when you're doing it, right? So it's wonderful. Life is a dance. Absolutely. Life is definitely a dance. And we are the divine dancer, right? Absolutely. I don't know what else to say. I'm like gone. So yeah, go back and watch and listen for all the wisdom and this process again. Check out the special offer page and see if you would like to attend the March 11th workshop, where Keren's going to be sharing even more about these types of practices and processes. And then, of course, if you'd like to work with Keren one-to-one, that is also available for you. And the personal session does not have to have anything to do with movement or dance. It can be just whatever is coming up for you in your life. So, for example, like when Tanya was talking a little bit earlier, the fear of the unknown or resistance, or like I'm talking about what the heck is wrong with my throat. It's been years now, and it's only happens when I'm doing these live shows. So come on, like, can we do something about that, right? So it can be anything. It does not have to be about dance or movement, but whatever is coming up for you. And no, this was awesome. Thank you so much, Keren, and thank you everybody for participating and playing with us, and for all your comments and feedback in the chat. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Shefali. Thank you, everyone, for being part of this today.
Yeah, and we'll do it again, because this was like the first time, and I thought it was fantastic. So we'll definitely have to do it again, because movement is life, right? So we all need to do more movement for sure. And we are all here to embody light. So another way to embody light is through these gentle movement practices. So I love it. So thank you. All right, everyone. So I will have the recordings out in just a little bit. It's the weekend, so have a great, wonderful weekend. Enjoy yourself. Go get out there if you can. I'm going to go take little Neo for a quick walk, because it's pleasant out today. And yeah, and I'm going to, as I'm walking, I'm going to focus on embodying more light as I'm walking, and I'm going to take the light from the snow and the sun. There's still some sun out there, and embody that, and look at that also as dance and movement. So thank you so much, Keren, for changing my perspective on dance and dancing.
Mission accomplished. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. All right, everyone. Thank you so much. Until next time, may you continue to be blessed with an abundance of joy, peace, love, happiness, prosperity, and radiant health. Sending you all so much love and blessings. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Good to see you.